Hey everyone, it's Phoebe here, and I have a great update for all of you that involves denim. Now, this was in our 2025.1 release, and it's really cool and it provides presets now for different denim washes. So let's just dive on in and have some fun while we learn. Okay, so here I have my CLO window open. It's looking great. And what I'm gonna start to do is I wanna just go straight into that denim. Before I do, let's just figure out where we can find this. So over in my object browser where the fabric is, I'm going to go to my denim fabric right here, and I'm gonna select that. Right in my property editor, you'll see type, fabric type, and I'm going to select this new option, denim, okay? So kind of similar to our fabric option, new things are going to pop up into our property editor. So I'm going to select denim here. And now what you're gonna see in the property editor is wet process. So here, when you see the wet process, the default will be unwashed. So here I'll see unwashed. Now, let's go through what all of these different wash options are, okay? So, unwashed. This is basically kind of like raw denim. It means there hasn't been any washes or chemical applications applied to this denim. It's normally really stiff. There's not a lot of wear and tear to it. And you're just gonna see what the denim is at its most natural form. What's a little bit important is to make sure when you're looking at the denim and when you're picking your denim that you have nice highs and lows to your texture, like I do here. What's also really nice to know about it, and that's really important with the unwashed, because then if you want an unwashed, you still have some depth to it because you'll have those highs and lows of just the weave and everything. So that's why sometimes it's important to make sure the textures you're bringing in are really great. So that is unwashed for you. Our next option we have is a rinse wash. Now, a rinse wash is going to give the denim a clean and slightly softened look to it. So it's going to keep that original color, but it is going to soften it a bit, as you can see right here. Now, my original color was that dark indigo, and it just lightened it up and it gave it a little bit more of a worn feeling. And that is a rinse wash. Now, an enzyme wash is going to slightly add a bit more fading to it. And also what it's going to do is it's going to give a little more of a worn kind of feeling, as you can see here. Next, we have our stone wash. Now, the stone wash is going to have a much more hot contrast between the highs and lows, and it's going to be a bit more defined with that. This actually is the process of putting pumice stones into your washer and then washing it with all of that. So that's what's happening there. So it's going to give a lot more worn feeling too when you're putting this on. Next, we have an acid wash, and this is going to create a little more of a marbled kind of effect to your denim. And it's also a chemical contrast, and it's going to give some dark splotches, and it's going to really give you a bold look here. And then we also have a bleach wash, another chemical, and this is going to lighten the entire fabric because bleach is being added in, and it is also going to give a there's going to be some near white areas, and there's going to be a lot more of contrast between that dark and the light, as you're seeing here. It might also even show signs of distress. Next, we have our ozone wash. This is going to just completely lighten everything evenly throughout the fabric. So it's going to be one very nice lightening kind of effect which is it's very different from what we just saw with our bleach. And then after the ozone, we then have this other option called custom. So custom wash allows you to bring in any map that you might want to bring in, and you can then start to adjust and change how you would like. Now, there are some things that I just want us all to know before we even move further in about this, which is all of the effects that you're seeing right now. These are all visual effects. None of this is affecting the physics of the fabric at all. Down the road, we do hope to have that, but right now this is all visual, okay? These are all actually textures laying on top of each other to create kind of this look. So that's an important thing to just know about. So also that might affect sometimes speeding, like the speed when you're changing around different textures or anything like that, and adjusting all of this. So just wanted to make sure everyone's aware, this does not physically adjust the fabric. If you do want the fabric to be physically adjusted, you do have to go into the physics of the fabric and adjust it yourself. This does just give you that great look that a lot of you have been asking for us to be able to provide and adjust. Now let's go back into the fabric, and I'm gonna go back into the stone wash example. And here in this example, I'm going to show you some of the different slider options you have when adjusting your denim. So here in my stone wash, there is one thing that I do want everyone to know about these sliders is there is going to be one slider that will constantly be changing for you. And it will be the slider right above the blend option. Right now, this is fading intensity. This will change based off of the type of wash that you're choosing. So different washes will have different options on how you want this applied. This option does directly affect your wash map and how visible that map is. The others affect the wash map and also your base color map, okay? So absorbency, cycle duration, and seam abrasion will all affect your base color map and also the wash map, while fading intensity will mainly just focus on your wash map effects. So let's talk a little bit though about cycle duration. What is cycle duration? Cycle duration is basically how long you're saying this is going to be in the wash for. So how long it's washing and doing its cycle. The lower, the darker that like overall fabric will be, while the higher or longer the duration is, the lighter it's going to become. So the overall lighter it will be. As you can see here, now it's much lighter because I've increased the cycle duration to 60. I can lower this. Maybe I wanted only like 45 or something like that. Now, that's cycle duration. Now let's go into this fading intensity. This map is going to adjust the wash map and how intense you want that wash map to be. So right now it's at 150. If I increase this, that means I'm increasing how intense this washes, and it's going to become a lot lighter. So there's going to be more contrast now, as you can see here. So now I can really see that wash a lot more and a lot clearer. The higher I go, the more this wash is going to be pronounced. So if I wanted though a darker wash, an overall darker wash, and I didn't really want to see such a pronounced fading intensity, I would actually lower this cycle duration down, and I would also lower the fading intensity. Now, if I wanted an all over lighter feel to this denim, but again, I didn't want too big of a intensity of this wash, I'm going to adjust my cycle duration so that this is actually higher, so that overall everything's lighter. And I'm not going to touch my fading intensity because I kind of want that to fade in a little bit. So I'm going to increase to 47. Nice. Great. You can continue to play around, but as you can see, when you adjust different sliders, you're going to get different effects, and they are going to work together. So keep adjusting them until you get the desired effect that you like. I actually really like this look. I think it's cool. So I'm happy here. let's jump into our bleach wash. So with this bleach wash, we're going to talk about the absorbency, but I just also want to call out, you can see here the new wash up top is bleach concentration. So how much of that like bleach concentration you're going to see. So absorbency. What is absorbency? This is how much of that wash solution is going to get soaked into your fabric. So the more it soaks in, then the more deep it's going to go, and also the more it's going to spread across the surface of the fabric too. So kind of the fuzzier and the like, yeah, I'm gonna say the fuzzier it's going to get on the edges. If you want it really pronounced and more like a laser kind of look, you're gonna have that absorbency very low. But if you want it like fuzzy, kind of like how this is, an absorbency is going to be higher. Now, most of the time between 1 and 10 is a good kind of look, and it's pretty closer to realism, but you can of course play around with however you want it to be, and you can have it higher or lower if you'd like. Just to show you, I'm going to increase this absorbency up to 36 just so you can see how it really like fades in and it becomes a little bit fuzzier at the edges and all of that. Now, if I lower this absorbency down to like 2, you can start to see it's really sharp, much sharper. I'm going to do like around 6 because I want to do like a 6. I kind of like that. I want it a little bit faded. I don't want it too faded. And I want it like a little fuzzy. You know, I want it to blend a bit. Next, let's talk about seam abrasion. But before we do, I think it'll be really helpful for you to see what it's like if there wasn't any puckering on certain seams. So let's jump into our 2D window and just hide some puckering real quick. Okay, now that that's it, I'm going to jump back to 3D. Now, as you can see here, I don't have any of that puckering anymore. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my fabric. You can see some puckering off to the sides here. And I'm going to increase my seam abrasion. So what this is doing is it's increasing what's already there. So as long as you already have puckering and some seaming there and maps there, it's just going to increase that intensity. So the higher you go, it is not going to actually affect the puckering. So if I select my puckering here, you'll see that this is how I have it set up. If I go back to my denim, if I lower this down and I jump back to my puckering and select this, you'll see it's still exactly the same. Nothing has changed. Again, I can go back to here, increase this higher, jump back. Again, nothing's changed in how this denim is set. So like this puckering for like this denim seam is exactly the same. Nothing's been changed or adjusted. It's all just visuals that have happened to this right here. But I don't have any puckering on this seam, so nothing's happening there. If I jump back into my 2D and I add that puckering back, you'll see it then again. Right there. Yeah. So that's how seam abrasion works. Really nice. Now, while we're also here, let's talk a little bit about the transformation and like sizing and everything with these maps. So with this map, I can actually change the size of this. So I can use this drop down and I can start to adjust. Let's say I want this to be 10. I also can turn off aspect ratio and I can say like, okay, let's make this 15. And I can make the height longer while the width stays at 10 or anything like that. So you can adjust and change around your sizing of your maps as much as you would like all within here. There is one thing that is important to know. If I decide to use my edit texture tool over here and change like the sizing of this, it will change both of the base map and the texture map at the same time. So that's just important to know and to keep in mind. when you're changing that around, because sometimes you might not want a very big actual base map because that won't be very realistic. So you will probably want to just like keep that in mind and know all about that. I set this back, so it's all good. Some other things to know too when you're in your, what other things you can change is actually the blending options. So over here, you can see different blending options. So I can change, right now I'm in overlay, but I could do like soft light. That's pretty cool. Or I could change to color dodge. This is going to be very different. So you can continue to play around and have different kinds of options. You could also do just screen, right? There's a lot of different options that you can pick and choose and play around with and test out. It's all up to you. Overlay, though, is a really good option for most of the time because it does take those two maps into consideration, overlays it, and it works pretty well. But you can, of course, keep playing around and adjusting it however you want, and you have all of those different blending options to choose from and adjust. Now let's jump into our acid wash. So now I have my acid wash. It's really nice. I like it. But let's say I wanted to do like a color overlay or anything like that, or change the color around. I can also do that all using my base color here. So here I could do like maybe a color overlay if I wanted to. So I'm just gonna bump up this acid concentration a little higher so that I have a little bit more of defined changes. And now I'm gonna jump into my color, and here I have my color palette. And what kind of colors do I want today? Let's go with kind of like a brownish reddish. I kind of want more red than brown. Now that I have the color I want, I'm gonna hit apply and apply and close. And now I have this nice color overlay. Now, when you decide to change your whole denim color, you might then realize, ooh, I gotta change those puckering colors as well, which you definitely should do to make it look as realistic as possible. So here I'm gonna go to some of this denim for puckering, and I'm gonna change those. Yeah, that looks actually pretty good. And that's looking nice. I can also change my top stitches. All right, cool. And this is looking pretty good now, right? Much better. I'm going to go back into my denim. Now, if I wanted to do a complete color switch and actually change this completely, I can use my color switch option. To do that, I'm just going to pick a little bit of a different color. I'm going to go to with a green. And here I can actually hit switch. And it will switch out the color. This was released a few releases ago, so, you know, there's already a whole deep dive into it. But it's going to switch out the color completely. And now I'll have more of a green base than a dark navy, dark indigo base. And yeah, for this to make it look a little bit more realistic, I'll probably drop, oh no, not my seam abrasion. I like my seam abrasion where it's at. I'm going to drop my cycle duration and also my wash intensity. And I can drop this even more for my cycle duration. And again, I'm going to want to go into my puckering. And I'm just going to select all of this. And I'm going to change this color to... And then for my top stitches, I'm going to change all of these. Back to like... Okay, nice. Right? Cool. Okay, now let's undo everything I just did. And let's jump back to unwash to just like reset a little bit for the color and like just, let's just reset a little bit. I'm going to unswitch this out. And I'm also going to turn off this to being actually no color. And now I have my unwashed. Cool. And what I'm now going to do is actually jump all the way to custom. Now with custom, I'm going to actually add in a completely different wash. So that's what's really nice about the custom is you can bring in any wash that you might have and start to use this. So I'm going to go into my denim washes and I'm going to bring in this star wash. Now I kind of want to get it to look kind of like this wash here. To do that, I'm going to make a few adjustments. So I'm going to increase my seam abrasion a little bit. And I'm going to increase my cycle duration just a tad. Nice. I'm also going to increase my absorbency because I don't want to have that like really, I want it to be much more faded than what it actually is. And what I'm also going to do is lower this map intensity. Maybe I want a little bit higher. Nice. And what I can also do with my transformation is I'm going to change this to being, let's have it 9. So that's a bit bigger. That was too big. I'm going to change it to 5. Nice. I like that. Okay, and now I have a really cool wash that I just created. I'm going to move this around a bit so that I have like kind of the nice, like some of the nice stars and all of that. Really cool. Really cool and nice. I can, of course, adjust this even more to being closer to like what I want it to be. Right? So I can maybe make this a little bit higher. Maybe I could even play around with this if I wanted it soft light, but I really want it to be, I like this one. I like how it is. Maybe I actually liked it before. I did. I really like the fading effect. Like I don't want anything like bush. I don't want like stars coming at you. This isn't like a shooting star, you know? This is like a I'm in the sky and everything's all right kind of star. You know? I like that. Yeah. Look at that. You kind of have to be like, ooh, it's a star. Cool. We got a custom. Now I, of course, can decide to then save this if I wanted to, and I could save this, and I could say, like, custom denim wash, you know? Which is what I'm going to do, just to show you. And now I'm going to say, custom denim wash. Okay. And save. Great. Now I have it. It's in my library. I can always use it whenever I feel like it. Fabulous. I also can do another wash, so I'm going to open this up again. And let's say I'm going to do a cloud wash, right? Let's say I want something a little bit more interesting. I want to do something like this. Okay? So this is a different color and everything. So for that, I'm going to probably go in and I'm first just going to find a different color here and apply and close. I'm also going to hit switch because I want it switched out. I'm going to lower my cycle duration. You know what? I don't want it switched out. That was the opposite of what I wanted. I'm going to unswitch it. See? People can change their mind and it's going to be just fine. Unswitch it. I'm going to increase this so much so that I see more of the highs and lows so that I actually see it like, ooh, look at that. Ooh. So cool. Oh, this is really intense. I'm going to lower this absorbency because I want it like a little more pronounced. Like I want to see that a little more. I'm going to increase the cycle duration just a tad. Maybe more. Okay, now here's the real question. Do I play around with my blending? Let's see what happens. Maybe I want What would happen if I do soft light? Let's see. That happens. I don't like it. What will happen if I do color burn? I don't like that. I'm going to go back to overlay. I was happy with overlay. I'm happy with this. And this is like pretty damn close to what I actually really want. So look at that. Maybe if I change the color around a little bit more. Maybe I want like this kind of color. Maybe this will be good. No, I like this color. It's kind of like a mossy kind of cool thing. I don't know. I'm feeling very mystical right now. I feel like this is the thing. Okay, I like it. Cool. And look at this. I have another custom denim. I can save this, right? I can save all of these. Look at this. I'm going to save another one. Custom denim _2. Great. Done. Okay, so great. All of what I've been doing, I've just been changing like one colorway and I've just been changing it. You can, of course, actually play around with this even more and have multiple colorways with like different washes and all of that. So let's go into that really quickly to see how it will work with colorways. So I'm going to go into production, open up my colorway window. And I'm going to open like two more colorways. Just so that you can start to see, yes, like you can have different washes for different colorways and they can be completely different. They can be very similar. It's up to you. So here in colorway 2, I'm going to select this custom denim. I'm going to go back to like no wash. And I'm going to select an ozone wash with a lowering map, lowering the gas concentration, going into my puckering, making sure all of this makes sense for that. Maybe I want a slightly longer cycle duration, but this looks good. I like this. Now let's say for this other colorway, I want, say, let's do an acid wash. I'm gonna lower this concentration. Ooh, this is very mystic. Like, this is very mystical. Ooh. I also don't really want this, so I'm just gonna, and let's say I'm gonna change my blending. I like that. Soft light's nice. I can do a little longer cycle duration so that everything's a little lighter. Nice. And I'm just gonna go back to my puckering and make sure all of this is the right colors. And there we have it. 3 very different colorways, all using different denims. Pretty easy and simple, right? Pretty cool. Right? Pretty cool. Now, let's talk about something that how you can use this feature without what it was intended for. Now, I'm just going to be very, very clear. It was not intended to be used this way. So if you do decide to use it this way, just know if there's issues or anything, or it's not truly realistic to like what it is in the real world, remember that this was never this feature's intent. But you can try it and you can do it and it might be interesting. Now, if I go into like a knit fabric like this and I'm saying, ooh, I would love to have like kind of a garment kind of wash to it, or I would like to have some high-lows to this as well, you can go into your fabric and go into type and say denim, even though it's not a denim. This is a knit fabric. This is not a denim fabric. But you can go into it, say denim. I'm going to select this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to now say this is denim, even though it's technically not a denim. Okay. And I'm going to say custom. And now I'm going to go into my wash maps. I would always suggest doing custom if you're going to decide to do this, because then you're going to bring in your own maps and it'll like, it's all custom, right? You can use any of our presets if you want. I just think like if you're going to do it, like add your custom ones, that might be nicer and all of that. I can change my map intensity here, right? I can change my absorbency. I could increase my cycle duration so that this becomes lighter. I can also increase maybe my map intensity. And what you can see is now you have kind of like a garment, an interesting garment wash on an actual knitted fabric. So you can expand this to what it, outside of what it was originally intended if you'd like to. And you can also just keep it into these great denims because these are some really amazing denims that you can keep using and playing around with. It's really cool. And yeah. And look at all of the denim that you can create. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, use that comment section down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. There are so many great videos for you to learn all about how CLO works and all of these great features that we have. Thanks again so much for watching and keep having fun in CLO.